It's been just about a year since I quit my steady full-time job to farm and ranch and do YouTube full-time. And today I just kind of want to talk about how that has all gone for me. While I'm talking about all that stuff, I've got work to do. And the first thing on the list today is get these steers loaded up into the trailer and back to the home ranch. That's what's going on today on Farmertylerranch. He's being a real piece of work. Well, it's like they say, there's one in every crowd. I had a feeling we were gonna have trouble today. I don't know why. And I got one steer that doesn't want to cooperate, and he's kind of messing it up for the rest of them. So I don't know, we'll see how this goes. Come on. You are my problem. Okay, that's progress. Wanna go? All your friends are in there. Oh. Gosh darn you. Thank you. This tree. Hey. Oh. This is the third load of steers that I've taken off of this property, and these guys were by far the hardest ones to get loaded, but really in the big picture, they weren't that bad. It was just more that the first two loads walked right onto that trailer with relatively no problem. These guys, they put up a little bit more of a fight. And I'd like to point out that during this operation, that patience really is what helped me win the war, because when I got them up to the trailer, and a couple of them were hesitant, one of them came back out, and it would have been real easy for me to get excited and start cracking the whip and really pushing on them hard to get them in there. But probably that would not have worked in my favor, especially because I'm out here by myself. I'm working in a very rickety catch corral here. If they decide to jump over that, they're gonna make it. They're not gonna clear it, but they'll bend that top rail right down and they'll get out. So having a little bit of patience, letting them get used to the idea, letting 3 of them get in there, then usually the 4th one you would think would not be that hard because he wants to go where the other ones are at. But anyway, it ended up working out this time. So now that I've got all the guys loaded up, I'm gonna go and turn all the water troughs off because there are no animals out here now. And you might be thinking, what's the sense in taking these guys off of here right when we're coming up on the spring flush? In fact, I haven't had to feed these guys hay for the last 2-3 weeks because the grass is starting to take off out here. The reason that they're going home is because they've got appointments, and I want to give this ranch at least a couple weeks, which doesn't sound like much, but this time of year, a lot of grass can grow in a couple weeks. And I just like to let the ground rest for that amount of time, and then I will be bringing my yearling steers back at the home ranch out here. So the plan being that when they get here, there's plenty of feed stocked up and waiting for them. Also during that time, I need to get that corral torn down and get the panels back home. Need to get the ring feeder out of here. I don't think there's any harm with the landowners for me to leave that stuff here, but I could potentially need it at home. And I'm already gonna have to come out here for, I'm guessing, at least a day to fix all of these broken sprinklers. These steers, since the sprinklers have been shut off, I know that they've been scratching their chins on them and things like that, and they've broken a ton of these riser pipes. It's not that evident right now how many, because we haven't been running the sprinklers, but I have a feeling it's gonna be most of a day for me to fix all these. It is weird weather today. It's like cloudy and drizzly, but it's kind of hot. I mean, I'm wearing a t-shirt and that feels just about right. So about a year ago is when I decided to make a huge life change that obviously, you know what that was. I'm sure the title of the video gives it away. But the way it all came about was my son Matt was born in November, middle November. And in California, at least, I don't know if other states do this too, but both the man and the woman can take paternity leave. And I know a lot of people are gonna think, oh, that's for the woman, the man doesn't need that. Well, think what you want, but if they're offering it to you, you'd probably take it too. But it was around that time when I really started seriously considering the idea of quitting my steady job and working for myself full-time. And the reason that I say that's when I started considering it is because my wife had been encouraging me to do this for a long time. She knew this was my dream, this is what I always wanted to do, and she always believed that I could do it, and I guess it just took me a little bit longer to believe it myself. So one day during this time off when Matt was just a baby, we took a day trip as a family. And it was during that day trip where I think we both decided that yes, I was gonna go for it. I would actually turn in my resignation and we would try to do this thing. After that time off when Matt was young came to an end, I still went back to work for a couple months. I don't remember exactly how long it was, but I remember during that time, I was always seeking out videos on YouTube about people that had quit their steady job in order to run their farm or their ranch or whatever they were doing, and just trying to get inspiration from those things. And my hope is that there's somebody out there watching this video that's in that same boat and is just looking for that little extra push or that little extra bit of inspiration to help them take the leap. And to be clear, this was not a decision that was made in haste. We had been saving money prior to this. We'd gotten some bills paid off that were kind of hanging over our heads. One thing that really inspired me was a quote, and I'll probably butcher it, but it was something to the effect of, you only get one chance to live your life, so are you doing it the way that you want? And at that time, I think my answer for that question was no. And the other quote that really sort of stuck in my head was, what would you do if you weren't afraid? I don't have the exact date memorized, which I probably should, but it was sometime around the end of March. It was before we went to Redmond headquarters in Utah. I typed up my resignation letter, walked into my supervisor's office, handed it to her, and in 2 weeks, my new life could begin. And people have asked me in the past what my job was before. I don't think that I've ever actually mentioned it, but what I did, it was a government job. I worked for a county where basically I would go around, and the bulk of what I did was certify gas pumps and scales, or anything, basically any device that bases a price off of a measurement. Like a gas pump charges you by the gallon, a scale might charge you by the pound or by the ounce or whatever it might be. So that's what I did. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, it was fine. I didn't hate it, but it didn't really give me a sense of fulfillment, or that is to say, I wasn't really excited to go to work every day. Shortly after, and I mean like a day after I officially quit, we piled up the family into the truck and drove to Utah and got to tour the Redmond facility. And when we got back, that's when reality set in. I've always considered myself a fairly driven person. I feel like I've got a good work ethic, but I never have felt more driven to work and accomplish goals than I did during this last year. And honestly, that hasn't worn off yet. I still feel that way. And having the time to be able to tackle all of these projects that I've been wanting to do for so long has really opened up so many doors for me. In fact, I think in the last year, I've gotten so much done around here that if I hadn't have quit my job and would have kept doing things the way that I was doing them, this is probably like 3 or 4 years worth of projects that I was able to do in 1 year. Things like this round bale feeder, the hay wagon, the bullpen, and countless other maintenance and management projects that I'd either been wanting to do or just knew needed to be done and was neglecting them. Too many things to count. In fact, as I think back over the last year, I've probably worked harder in this year than I ever have possibly in my life. But what's funny about it is it doesn't feel that way. And to me, the big difference is that every morning when I wake up, I'm excited about what I'm going to go do that day, even if it's welding up a bullpen in 100+ degree weather. That never bothered me. Hard work doesn't feel that hard when you're doing it for yourself or for the betterment of your future, your family's future. When hard work really feels like hard work is when you're doing it for someone else. Walking out here in the pasture right now to check on my last cow here at the home ranch that we're expecting a calf from. Actually, moving those 2 cows to the winter pasture made it kind of nice because I really have a lot less to check on while I'm here now. So she's the only one we're waiting on, and she's got a big old belly. I think there's one in there, but I don't really see her bagging up too much yet. So is it coming? What are we waiting for? Oh, what? I think I do see a little bit of a bag forming up there. Heifers are actually usually pretty easy to spot because if you can see anything happening, that means something's happening. Is that making sense? It makes sense to me. I think the sense of purpose was probably the first really big benefit from quitting my job and being self-employed, because that was something that I felt every single morning when I woke up. And the other big thing was how much more time I got to spend with my family. So in my past life, when I had a regular 40-hour-a-week job, usually what I would do is sometimes maybe wake up before I had to go to that job to work on the ranch, get home, work after that job on the ranch. Saturday was probably all day on the ranch, and then Sunday was at least a half a day, maybe a full day working on the ranch. This left very little time to be with the family and oversized pets that we have. Yeah, you're blocking the shot. So now I still try to give myself 2 days a week off. It doesn't always happen, but I try to. And for those 2 days, I can devote that entirely to spending time with the family. Behind the ears is a good spot. Oh, goodness. One thing that I have noticed over the last year, and a lot of people told me that this would happen, and I guess I just had to see it for myself to believe it. But just the way that my YouTube channel has grown has really been kind of a surprise to me. And the reason for that is just, I think, because I've been able to devote more time to it. I went from 1 video a week when I was working a full-time job to now 3 videos a week. That's what I shoot for. I know I don't always do it, but this has helped grow my audience, and it's also helped grow my opportunities. And I'm not saying all this to be like, oh, everybody look how great my life is. As I hear myself talk, I can see where it maybe sounds that way. The reason that I'm telling you all this, or the reason that I'm saying all of it, is because I want people to know that if your life is not what you want it to be, or things aren't going the way you want them to, change it. you're the only one that can make that happen. And I think a lot of times we're too afraid to do it. I know I was for a really long time. The flip side of that is, with that great risk can come a great reward as well. And I'm sure that some people might be watching this and thinking, well, yeah, but sure, you have these advantages that I don't have. And I guess the point of it is that you can always find a way to talk yourself out of doing something like that, because it is scary. But if you can kind of like shift your thinking and think about what advantages you have, what finally got me over the hump is I just came to the realization that I didn't want to get to the end of my life and look back and think, man, I wish I would have tried that. I think I would rather try it and fail at it than never knowing if I could have done it. What do you think, Callie? Callie, you make it look easy. So a year later, we're still making it work, but I try to approach this with the attitude of like, it can all end tomorrow. So in other words, don't let yourself get lazy, don't let yourself get complacent. Always be striving forward and trying to make more out of what you got. If I keep that attitude, I think that we'll be all right, because man, I gotta tell you, I don't think I could ever go back to working a normal job again. Thanks for hanging out with me today, guys, and I hope I'll see you again on Farmer Tyler Ranch.